Okay, so you've made it through to the last final stage of the Diametrics web app. So congratulations if you've made it this far. So this is the part of the web app that really sets this application aside from other tools that are available for calculating the metrics of glycemic control, because you can't do it on other platforms. So yeah, basically this is the most exciting part, in my opinion. So basically what this section allows you to do is it allows you to choose periods of time that you want to calculate your metrics for. So for example, one of the ones I'm going to show you is with exercise. So if you say the person is exercising from 7 in the morning till 8:30 in the morning, you fill in your Excel form and you can then have your metrics of glycemic control for that period. So yeah, I'm going to take you through it now, but I'm just going to start by uploading the data here that I would be uploading. Okay, so here we go. We have two files here. They're Libres, but they're in an American format. So I'm going to change this to milligrams per deciliter and the date format to American. Okay, so I'm just going to, you see they're both almost 14 days worth of data. I'm just going to skip through the rest of it and I'll meet you at the advanced analysis page. Okay, so here we are. We're at the last tab. So basically, the first thing that you're going to need to do is upload a file that contains your external data. Now, there's different ways, like different formats that are acceptable with how you put this information in. But as you could probably imagine, what we need to know, what the app needs to know, is the start date, the start time, the end date, and the end time. So you can put this in different ways. It can either be one column with start date time, so the 14th of the 9th, 2022, and then 0130 for 130 or something like this. You can include seconds as well if you want to. And the end date can be the same. Alternatively, you can divide both of these into start date, start time, end date, end time. Another alternative is you use either one, start date, start time, or start date time, and a duration in minutes. So those are your different ways that you can fill in this information. Okay, so let me show you first an example of the one that I'm going to do for this data. So you can see that the ID here has to match exactly the ID of the file that you've uploaded. So the ones that I uploaded are Libre amer01.csv. So my ID is the same, and then 02. So this one is a start date, time, and a duration because I'm looking at exercise. So what I've done here is I've put the type of exercise, HIIT, mod, strength. This is the first label. And secondly, I put the Borg score, so the level of intensity of the exercise. So yeah, this would be the perfect example of using a start date, time, and a duration. Check the documentation. But essentially what you need to do when you're uploading these files is these 3 columns here, or in the case of if you're using start date time, end date time, and all of these things, it basically has to match exactly the word. So you have to have ID, capital ID, start underscore date time, exactly like this, duration. So go onto the documentation, there'll be a clear list of all of the headings you can use. All of the labels, you can label whatever you want. So here is a second example, and this one is looking at the menstrual cycle. So this is a European Dexcom in the format that it's in, person 1, person 2, person 3. The start date time, the end date time. And the reason for doing this is because doing this in minutes when it's sort of days that you're looking at, this is individual whole days, is maybe a bit too fiddly. So this is an easier way, in my opinion, to do sort of longer periods of time. And then you can see in this one that there's three different labels here. So the ovarian cycle phase, the uterine cycle phase, and the day of the cycle. So yeah, one thing I forgot to say was that even if you're uploading your CGM data with an American date time format, so month before day, you have to put this in a European date time format. So for example here, 2021 0322, so it has to go year, month, date, or it can go date, month, year. That's the final thing to add. Okay, so let's start here. So you click the drag and drop file, or drag and drop your file, and I'm going to select the exercise periodic example, which is the one that matches the data I've uploaded. And then we come to this section here. So basically, this is particularly relevant for shorter periods of time. So for example, like the research I do in exercise. So sometimes you don't just want the specific period. You want to know what's happening for the time after the period. So for this, for example, it already has by default start of event to the end of event. So in this case, 5:30 till 6:40, that will be included unless you remove this one here. Okay, so let's say I'm also interested in the end of the event to the 4 hours after the event, which is something quite common when looking at exercise. Also, you can choose set periods around the event. So let's say you can choose all 24 hours. So as soon as the event is finished, you want to look at the 24 hours after the period. So for example, after a specific meal or something like that, that will be inclusive. If you wanted to look at individual 1 hour at a time, you would use this tool here. Just an example of how to do that. So say then I was interested in 1 hour after the event to 2 hours after the event, something like this. You can do this and add as many of these as you need. Okay, so we've got the start of the event to the end of the event, the end of the event to 4 hours after the event, and the night after. So then what you do is you click the calculate metrics button, and then what you'll see down here appear is the metrics that you're interested in. So basically the ID is here on the left, and that's either 01 or in this case 02. The start of the event to the end of the event as the same as that you put into your periodic file above. And then these are your two labels here that will be carried forward from the file as well. And then here you have the period. So this is what you put above. So the start of the event to the end of the event to 4 hours after the event, and the night after the event. So here on the right, the first one that we can see is data sufficiency. So this is the percentage of data that we have available in the period that you specified. And then you have all of your metrics here. And these will be the same. So if you added some extras in your analysis options, these will show here too. So if you added a unique time in range, like a new time in range, then this will be included here. And the rest of them will say the same. Also for number of the hypoglycemic episodes, if you've changed the thresholds, they will also be carried through. So yeah, you can switch between millimoles and milligrams per deciliter. See here. And it's the same as before. You can export using this button and it will pop up here with your data. You can hide the columns that you're not interested in. So say you're not interested in data sufficiency, and then get it back here by clicking it back again if you want to.